Hello, and welcome to KDAB News, the monthly update for professionals working with Qt, C++, and 3D technologies. I'm Rob Brock, and in this edition we have interview with the founders of 60fps, a new toolkit for graphical UIs. KDE Dock Widgets 1.2 has been released, Vulkan on QNX, call for talks to Qt Embedded Days, Tool of the Month, announcements, and resources. With me today are Simon Houseman and Olivier Goffard. They're here to introduce 60fps, a new UE toolkit for creating user interfaces for desktop and embedded devices. So, who are you, and why did you start 60fps?
So, Olivier and I met many years ago in Trolltech. We were both working on Qt. And we've been in the Qt community for a very long time. So last year, I left the Qt company, where I was last chief software engineer, and I've been maintaining the QML engine. Olivier had left Nokia much earlier. He came first to Berlin to co-found Wobok. Wobok is like a software consultancy company like KDAB, and they've done a lot of Qt-related projects. He's also the behind the implementation of the meta object system in Qt and many other parts. And so one trend that we've seen over the years is that many devices around us are getting big, colorful screens, and often they have touch input, and they're everywhere, in cars, in airplanes, appliances, at home, in industrial environments even. And somehow we expect them to be just as smooth and easy to use as the smartphones in our pockets, right? But that's not quite always the case. Take ticketing machines in public transport, for example. When you have just like a minute or two left to catch the train, and then you need to purchase quickly that one-way ticket, but the screen doesn't react and everything is slow. So we've seen that this is quite often the result of the simple fact that it is still very hard to make these kinds of products. The designers, they often work kind of blindly. They can't really preview the final device to see the form factor or the color contrast. And the developers, they have to redo the entire UI just based on the Photoshop assets they received via email. And then hopefully the result will be as fancy as the design mock-up that was presented to the company management. And so we decided to tackle that and adjust that. Let's simplify GUI development for designers and developers. And that's 60fps.
There are indeed a lot of public use machines that could use a little boost of speed. What is the difference between 60fps and Qt?
On a high level, we have a declarative UI language which will look familiar to QML developers. We call it the .60 language. It is similar to QML, but it is designed as a much more static and typed language. We transform the .60 files at compile time into generated code. With that design, we have the power to do many optimizations at compile time. Qt is a very broad toolkit with many features, like networking or database, but we decided to focus only on the user interface aspect and let everything else done by other libraries provided by the ecosystem. While Qt is a C++ toolkit with some bindings to other programming languages, 60fps is not targeting a specific programming language. We recognize that not every team uses the same programming language, as there are many wonderful languages out there that have different strengths and weaknesses. Many of them need a way to do user interface. So we've been designing our toolkit to support different languages from the start. The core library is written in Rust, so naturally we support that. And since we've been working with C++ for a long time, we're also supporting a C++ modern API. We even have JavaScript, and we make sure that our design is flexible so we can add any programming language if we need it, for example, Python.
That flexibility factor is definitely a big plus. What are your plans for the future?
So at this point, we're really looking for early users and customers so that we can bootstrap our product and hire people. But we're aware that we are still in an early phase of the development. But that just means that we can adjust our roadmap to nicely fit the needs just of those first customers. or we would be happy to get hired as contractors to implement a UI, and we would use our framework. And that way we can demonstrate what 60 FPS would be capable of. If you're curious, go check out our website, 60fps.io. You can also find the link to the GitHub project there. We're using a simple dual licensing scheme with a GPL open source version and a commercial license, like Qt in the old days. We don't have set up an exact pricing model for the commercial license yet, but we're thinking about a per product-based license. All of our demos are running in the web browser to play with, and our online documentation explains how you can get up and running with, for example, just a few lines of CMake code.
Perfect. Okay. So those links will be below the video for you to look through, and thank you, Simon, Olivier, for the meeting. I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
In case you hadn't come across it yet, KDE DockWidgets is a framework for custom-tailored docking systems in Qt. With the latest release, support for two platforms, Wayland and WebAssembly, or WASM, was added. Additionally, Qt 6.0 is now supported. This is probably most interesting for Wayland because, to our knowledge, there is no other docking framework available yet. KDE DockWidgets is available under commercial and open source licenses, so why not try it out in a browser? You can check out the online WebAssembly demo, linked below. Next, Phoronix.com reports a merge to the Vulkan API registry containing a new reserved extension that points at upcoming support of Vulkan services on QNX. There has been no official announcement yet. You can read more about it in the article below. If you're somebody who builds embedded devices with Qt, here's a heads up. Mid-April, there will be an online conference called Qt Embedded Days, hosted by KDAB. The call for talks is now open. Topics can be directly related to Qt on embedded devices itself, or experiences about the overall embedded project lifecycle. Example, tooling, testing, hardware, containerization, and the like. More information about the event and the program will follow later in February. In any case, mark your calendar for Tuesday 13th and Wednesday 14th of April. You can submit a talk via the link below. As part of the migration from QMake to CMake, one of the QMake features that people often miss is the ability to create a project around a single C++ file, or just a few, for instance for quick test cases. This was possible with the command qmake-project. There's now a script called CMake project, which does the same thing with CMake. It even improves it by adding a link to Qt widgets automatically when the code uses Q applications. You'll find more information below the video. Would you like to improve automatic testing for your Qt applications? Would you like to learn how to use Squish for testing your application over and over again? Then you might want to have a look at the upcoming 3-day training on testing Qt with Squish starting 16th of February. Go now, below the video, to find the link. CMake 3.19 was officially released a couple of months ago, and one of the biggest and most exciting new features is the addition of presets. What are presets, you might ask, and why should we be excited about them? Well, you can read more about it in the blog post linked below the video. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and feel free to share any feedback or questions below the video. That's all happening below the video. The comments are there, the links are there, the description is there. Go now. I'll see you next time.